We got Sister Dionna, y'all. Y'all give her a round of applause. She's coming up. Clap it up, clap it up.
What I wanted to be, who I needed to be, and African, I'm an African.
Hotep family. It is my pleasure to be here. Hotep is from the divine language Metuneta, which originated in ancient Kemet. Hotep means supreme peace. So when one say Hotep to you, you would respond with Hotep the same way you would do with peace. So Hotep family. Hotep. Before I get started, I want to share something with everybody. Is that okay? Sure. I was speaking with my husband about 2 weeks ago, and he had said to me about a story he read in a book of Frederick Douglass. He said Frederick Douglass was already on the scene for some years, delivering speeches. He said he was on a panel with Ida B. Wells. He leaned over to Ida B. Wells and he said, you know, and don't quote me on the years, he said, after 20 years, I still get a little nervous delivering a speech. He said, are you nervous? She said, no. He said, why not? She said, because I don't view it as delivering a speech. I view it as delivering a message to the people. And that's what I'm here to do today, my brothers and sisters. I'm here to deliver a message. I'm not professing to know everything. I acquired some information I want to share with my brothers and sisters. So hopefully you sit there with an open mind or open heart and your ears are listening. You tuned into what I'm saying. And I strongly urge you and encourage you to do your own study. We have books right over there. You have Reality Speaks that have a bookstore on 219 25th Street. You have Everyone's Place on North Avenue. Go purchase your own books and do your own study. Right. Now, my topic today is to be African. Asa Hilliard had written in his speech, to be African or not to be. That is truly the fundamental question. And that is. That's the fundamental question. That's only the fundamental question if you have no clue to what you come from. You have no clue of your legacy that you stem from. I say in other words of that question, do we accept and acknowledge our Africanity, or do we negate and forget about our African heritage? That's what we have to ask ourselves. We are the only people, United States is made up of many different ethnicities. And we are the only ethnicity that identify with our geographical location as opposed to our culture and our heritage. Right. We are the only ones. You have Mexican, you have German, you have Korean, etc. You ask them what they are, they say, I'm a Korean. That's right. I'm a German. We are the ones saying, I'm an American. Right. Some of us just totally forget about the African part. I'm an American. Right. Well, I'm an African American. It's an insult to call an African in America African. Not an African. What are you talking about? I wasn't born in Africa. That's the way our mind works. But that's not the truth. That's right. That's not the truth. We have to keep in mind that they purged our minds of anything and everything that made sense to us. Anything and everything that gave us strength, gave us power, gave us identity. And then they replaced it with falsifications. They replaced it with falsifications. We have to keep in mind that regardless where we are in the diaspora, there is some unifying ties and principles that connect us and thread us all together as Africans. Right. We have to be willing to acknowledge our Ma'afa, learn the truth about Africa and what it means to be an African, and then reawaken our African mind away from us. So when they brought us from Africa to the Americas, North and South, they did a process called seasoning. With the seasoning process, 4 essential things had to transpire. And that was for us to hate Africa and anything black. That was for us to look at the whites as being superior to black. That was for us to fear death in the owner for disobedience and to be loyal to the owner. Now I don't have much time, but I'm going to dig into the seasoning process a little bit. I'm going to dig into that. They wanted us to hate Africa and anything black. Now how many of you know somebody, or you was one of those people that hated Africa and anything black? They convinced us that we was barbarians, we was cannibals, we was nothing. They convinced us of that and we believed it. We believed it. Oh, I'm nothing. I don't want to be an African. I don't want to be dark-skinned. I know I'm one of those people during my upbringing. You call me black, you call me dark-skinned. That was fighting words. What? You're black, ugly, Sam? What you talking about? You're nappy hair. You need to go get a perm. That was insulting. And now I embrace that. That's who I am. That's what I come from. And we have to keep that in mind. That's naturally who we are as people, as African people. It's nothing nothing wrong with that. Don't be ashamed of that.
Right.
Not at all. And for us to accept our Africanity and accept who we are and say with conviction and with pride that I am an African, we have to learn the truth about Africa.
Right.
What do it mean to be an African? What do it mean to be an African? To be an African is to know that the Creator is in all creations. So therefore the Creator is within us.
Right.
That's what it means to be an African. We studied the moon, the sun, and the stars because we knew that it operated off of a greater phenomenon. We knew by us tapping into that and putting ourselves in sync with that we was operating off our higher selves.
Right.
We understood that as Africans. It wasn't about worshiping the celestial. It wasn't about worshiping the nature. It was about we knew that the Creator was within those things. Therefore, we studied it closely. We watched nature. We watched the process that it went through. You had birth. You had growth. You had aging. You had death or transition. Then you had decay. Then you had rebirth. And by us studying that, we understood ourselves. We understood how the human being operated. That's what it meant to be an African. To be an African is to be spiritual and religious. Our spirituality and our religion permeated through every aspect of our lives.
Right.
Even though you didn't have a word for religion in the African society, we was born into it. So you have to remember that when re-Africanizing yourself. And then you got to keep in mind that some people, and it's going to be loved ones, it's going to be family and friends, they're going to disagree with what you're doing. They're going to have something to say about what you're doing, but you got to stay strong. You got to stay strong. They're going to say things like, what you doing with your hair like that? Why don't you get a perm? You need to do something with that. Well, what's them things in your head? What you doing walking around with them things in your head? With your nappy head and stuff? What you doing wearing them clothes? What you think, you're African now? You think you're African, so you're going to change your name to Kuta Kintai? You going to start talking like... They're going to have insults. And what you do is you look them back in their eye and say, I wear these clothes because this is of me. This is what I come from. I wear my hair like this because this is of me. This is what I come from. And yes, I intend to learn an indigenous African language. Yes, I intend to connect myself to Africa in the diaspora. Yes, I intend to change my name because I don't want to keep that slave name anymore. So the question is not what is wrong with me? Why am I thinking I'm an African? The question is what in the hell is wrong with you? Excuse my language. That's the question. What is wrong with you? Why are you acting like the European? Why are you walking around acting like the oppressor? That's the question. That's the question, and that's what we got to keep in mind. We have to do our studying. It's an ongoing process. You can't pick up one book, 2 books, 3 books, and think that's the end of it. Now you're an African. You can't then wear an uncle, wear the African garment, that's the end of it. Now you're Afrocentric. That's not how it goes. Because if you wear the garments, then you wear the jewelry, and you change your hair, but you still got the Negro mentality. You still a Negro. You have to change this. You have to work on this to be Afrocentric. You have to center your thoughts. You have to center your behavior, your practices within Africa and for the advancement of African people. That's what you got to keep in mind when you're being Afrocentric. And that's where we stand. One of the Bibles in the study class said, a history to a group of people is like a memory to a person. And that's where we stand. We have no memory of who we are. That's where we stand. And you have to be willing to get back to that. You have to be willing to get back to that. And I urge you to get back to that. I encourage you to pick up a book. Read a book today. Purchase a book today. Learn something about where you come from. Stop listening to all this propaganda. Turn the TV off sometimes. Turn the radio off because they do not have our best interests at heart. Turn it off and learn the truth about yourself. You have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to do that. And with that, my brothers and sisters, I say hold tight.